Crime Boss Rockay City is available, I guess, early access if you bought it on the Epic Games launcher for PC. It's supposed to become available on other consoles such as the PlayStation 5, Xbox Series sometime in the future. The price tag is $40 US. Obviously, I haven't played it myself, and at the moment, I don't really intend to. But I have watched a few people play Crime Boss Rockay City, including my good friend Pat, aka The Professional. I will link his playthrough below in the description section. Feel free and check out his playthrough so far of Crime Boss Rockay City. So it's set in the 90s in Rockay City, which is a fictional version of Miami. And it actually stars some former Hollywood actors and actresses. Some of them are okay, others extremely overrated. So we got Michael Madsen, Kim Basinger, Michael Rooker, along with Chuck Norris, and Danny Trejo, Danny Glover, Damien Portier, and Vanilla Ice, a rapper from the 90s. Admittedly, I have listened to a few of his songs back in the day. I was a kid, okay? So the studio behind this is, I think, a pretty new studio called In-Game Studios. And this might be their first game. And it's an interesting concept. At first, a lot of people thought that this was going to be a version of GTA or some sort of GTA clone. But it has way more in common with Payday than it does GTA. It's a first person. The objective is to be a crime boss and to build up your criminal empire in Rockay City and hire people, as well as go off robbing other gangs and turf wars. There are definitely things from watching various Let's Plays, including The Professionals, that I like about Crime Boss Rockay City, but there's also things that I don't like. I think this game is far from perfect. The price tag is $40 US, and while games today are going for $70 US, I still feel like $40 is a little generous for this game because it has its own set of problems. For one thing, the streamer mode, which is supposed to be enabled for streamers and people that record Let's Plays to be able to play the game without worrying about songs in the game, because, you know, a lot of these games have copyright music, and they'll replace the copyright music with either royalty-free music or the score of the game, or just no music at all, so that the content creator, the streamer, won't get a copyright claim. If you get a copyright claim, it's not as bad as a strike, but it demonetizes your video or your live stream. And this has happened with Professional and a few others, despite the fact that they had streamer mode enabled. So streamer mode appears to be broke in Crime Boss Rockay City. Other issues is the fact that there are frame rate problems that I have noticed in the game. And yeah, there are moments when it seems to run okay for the most part. I think this is actually on Unreal Engine 5. But there are moments when, and it could depend on everyone's computers, but I doubt it, because I saw on various playthroughs that frame rate issues were happening no matter what. So there's frame rate issues, there's glitching, there's bugs. What a surprise. And the cutscenes just look god awful. It very looks obvious that the characters, which they mocap most likely the actors that portrayed their characters, and the mocap, the lip syncing isn't the best, and all too often it definitely looks like they're standing in front of a green screen. So the cutscenes just don't look very good at all. And the dialogue is atrocious. The writing is not as bad as Cringe Road 2022, but it's not good either. It's not up to the level of a GTA game or a Mafia game or, you know, other games out there. It's far from perfect. It has its moments, though, where it makes you laugh here and there. But there's definitely a lot of cringe in Crime Boss Rockay City. But once again, it could be worse. At least with these criminals, even though there's definitely some bad acting, there's some decent acting. But at the end of the day, I think a lot of it has to do with the directing. Maybe the director of the actors involved didn't put enough effort to try and get the actors or the actresses to like get the line right. Maybe they're just not experienced in that department, or maybe the actors and actresses, a lot of them are admittedly has-beens. They were popular at one point, but not so much anymore. And one of them is a rapper. Not exactly, top-notch acting material. And maybe, just maybe, they all agreed to a paycheck. I don't know how much they were paid for their roles, but it's not like they put forth the best effort. I mean, even though a few of them are good actors, they just didn't have that much to work with. But there are definitely those that are not as good that do an even worse job than they have in previous works, TV shows, and movies, which is very, very surprising. But overall, I at least feel like their characters, once you dive into the game, and it does take a little bit of time. I had to watch a few episodes of the Professionals playthrough of Crime Boss before I started kind of feeling these characters. They at least feel like criminals compared to characters in Saints Row. But once again, that's not really a compliment. The limited maps. There's only a few maps that they created for the game, like a warehouse map, a dock map, and I think a hotel room map where you go into a hotel, a store map, like a mall map. And I think they reuse a lot of these maps over and over again for the various missions. They have missions where you can go in, try to rob stores, rob warehouses. You can do it silently, which is cool because there's an option there to go in stealth with you and your crew. Or you can go in guns blazing, which means you'll have to fight either security guards or rival gangs or the police. And if you stay too long, the police become more difficult. You get regular patrol officers, then eventually you get SWATs. And so the idea is to get in, steal what you got to steal, get the hell out as quickly as possible. Or if you're doing a turf war, you want to go in with like a larger army than the enemy has in order to win the day. But there are obviously things about Crime Boss Rockay City I think had potential to make this a great game. But it does feel rushed. It does feel like a lot of the budget might have gone towards these actors and actresses when I think the characters could have been way more interesting and cheaper, and performance quality would have been better if they would have gone with voice actors and voice actresses instead. But I guess and I don't know why they thought that going with former Hollywood stars was a smart idea. Nobody really cares for most of these actors or actresses anymore. There might have been a time when people used to simp over Kim Basinger, but that was a long time ago. And Vanilla Ice had one, maybe two hits. And his one hit, the music was the same as a Queen song. So that's where the beat came from, a Queen song. So good job, Vanilla Ice. And then he had Go Ninja, Go Ninja, Go. Yay. But anyways, overall, this game, I think, had potential to be better than it was. There's definitely some interesting elements of Crime Boss Rockay City, the world building, the criminal aspect, the ability to go in stealthily or go in guns blazing. And you could also like hog tie security guards instead of killing them, as well as civilians. And there's some other aspects too I like. Building up your own army and upgrading them, promoting them, different abilities you get. You can also go in and purchase items, I guess, to make your character come across as more, I guess, affluential. And the main character is, I think, Travis Baker, played by Michael Madsen. I guess you could say Michael Madsen has an acquired taste when it comes to his performance. There are times when it feels lazy, and then there's a certain charm that Michael Madsen has always had. So you got to have to take it or leave it. But I guess he's a more convincing crime boss than the boss in Saints Row 2022. Yeah, I'm sorry. Once again, I had to make that comparison. Even though Saints Row has more in common with GTA, just like Crime Boss has more in common with Payday. But it did feel like from the trailer many months ago, I think at the Game Awards, that Crime Boss, they were in the trailer trying to make it feel like a GTA game. but it's not a GTA game. I mean, yeah, they're both revolved around, the criminal underworld, and you being a criminal, you're a protagonist character or antagonist, and rival gangs that you have to fight and take on. But that's where I guess the similarities end. But overall, yeah, I just don't think I'll be purchasing Crime Boss Rockay City when it does become available on a console, on PlayStation 5 or Xbox Series, because this is a game that would have been better off with just regular voice actors and actresses, a better script. I mean, it's not a bad script. I think it needed a bit of a polishing, a bit of an editing. I think this is like the rough draft of the script, and they kind of ran with it. And more importantly, the gameplay mechanics could have been improved a little bit. Some more maps, some more variety. I think some of the NPCs look boring and low effort. And I think that, like the enemy NPCs or ally NPCs, there's a few ally NPCs you can hire, but all too often you'll end up hiring an ally that basically is a carbon copy clone of other NPCs. So I think if there would have been more like RNG, more variety for ally and enemy NPCs, then I think that would have made the game a little bit more interesting. And it's weird because some of the missions take less time to complete than the loading of the mission. So you'll have the missions load, and it takes a minute or two for the mission to load, depending on the mission. And all too often, you'll go into a mission and be done with it in less time than the mission itself took to load up. So that alone is fascinating, which shows me that this was low effort when it came to the missions done by this team. They could have put more effort into it. It looks like they had a vision for what they wanted Crime Boss Rockay City to be, but the vision and I guess the reality of like getting the game out, or maybe whatever deal they have with Epic, because Epic obviously has early access rights to it, and that means money was exchanged between Epic and 505 as well as in-game studios in order to put this game out earlier than planned on the Epic game launcher. So I think once again, this game needed a bit more time, and I think a little bit more variety would have been good, especially with the locations that you do the missions in. And some of the missions should have added a bit more to it and not make it like too simple to accomplish, because that just makes it boring, especially if you're doing the same missions over and over again, basically. Robbing over and over again, or turf war over and over again. I mean, yeah, you're taking over territory from rival gangs, but it's very repetitive in the long run. And the acting, was not very good. Neither was the writing. But at the end of the day, if people are enjoying Crime Boss Rockay City, well, good for you. I know that the professional was enjoying it for the most part, despite some obvious issues and problems. This game has also gotten a lot of criticism from fellow creators and reviewers out there. So that's understandable as well. I don't think this is a great game. I don't think this is the worst game ever. I think it's a very mid game. And to be honest, from what I've seen so far, I have no real interest in purchasing or playing Crime Boss Rockay City. It could have been something very special, but I'd rather just wait for Payday 3, because from what my friend Kane has told me, because he's a big Payday fan, that Payday 3 is shaping up to be pretty awesome and amazing. So why play Crime Boss Rockay City, who's obviously taken influence from the Payday franchise, when you can just patiently wait a little longer and get a much better version of Crime Boss in Payday 3. So yeah, I think Payday 3 is the game that you should be waiting for if this kind of game happens to pique your interest. Unless you just want some cringe and some cheese, and $40 isn't really that much to you to burn out of your pocket, and you happen to have the Epic Games launcher, and you just want to go spend some time with some of these has-been actors and actresses. They were probably paid way too much for the roles that they end up playing. There's one or two exceptions, like Michael Rooker. I've always liked Michael Rooker. Danny Trejo, love Danny Trejo. But other than that, yeah, it's a hard pass for me when it comes to Crime Boss Rockay City. But I'll continue to watch other people play it, such as The Professional and a few others here and there as well. But Yeah, Crime Boss Rockay City is definitely not for me. Now I want to know what you think about this game, especially if you also purchased the game and have been playing it. Your honest thoughts, views, and opinions regarding Rockay City, available right now on the Epic Games Launcher for PC, coming soon to PS5, Xbox Series, $40 US. As always, welcome below in the comments section.